105 on the Browns, Detroit, still back for hip hop and R&B. It's your boy Showtime The Czar. I'm talking with a legend, icon, man. He goes by the name of Mr. Mixx. What up, though?
What's up, brother? How are you? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Detroit.
Black Blessed and Fly, man. Check it out. I forgot to say he's of the Two Live crew. Okay, I got to say that part because this is what makes him an icon, a legend. He's been doing this for a long time. And I want to give you a disclaimer real quick, man. I'm a little younger than you, so forgive me if it sounds like I wasn't completely hip to what's going on. So I'm gonna be sounding a little, you know what I mean? Like, dang, why you don't know nothing about that? So, but I would just want to let you know that real quick, okay? So don't
It's
be mad.
all good.
So, real quick, first of all, how was your holiday, man? Did you enjoy yourself?
Yeah. Holiday was cool. Family had a good holiday party, relatives, this, that, and the third. The funny thing about it is that I've been on the low in certain aspects. I stay in Cleveland now, so I'm just right down the street from
Oh, really?
Detroit. Matter of fact, one of my buddies that go out on the road with me lives in Detroit, so I'm always up there, but I'm not really in the spots because I don't really know what the spots are. You can't get caught slipping up in your town. I mean, you just can't be up there willy nilly. So, you know.
We got you, man. Ain't nobody gonna do nothing to you, man. I feel like you know who you are. You icon for sure. So listen, I just want for people who are not hip to your, your history. Okay,
Right,
tell us about how you joined the Two Live crew. How did you guys meet, and everything like that.
right. Well, let me give people a little history thing. People know of the Two Live Crew when the lineup of people that got nationally recognized was myself, Luke Skywalker, that goes under Uncle Luke now, Brother
Mhm.
Marquise, and Fresh Kid Ice and Chinaman. A
Right.
lot of people don't realize that me and Fresh Kid Ice, and there was another guy, we started the Two Live Crew when we was in the military. Um, we was in California. This was way back eons ago, 1984. We both met. I was I'm a musician, I would say a school musician. I played saxophone from third grade all the way up to high school. So I have, music acumen in me.
Mhm.
When I got into the service, my first location, that I got stationed at was in England. So in these early hip hop days, between 82 and 84, DJs, Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, Africa Islam, breakdancing groups, Rocksteady Crew, they would all come to London to do exhibitions. So in those early days, there was no videos, there was no MTV, there was nothing.
Right.
So if you're from outside of New York, I was one of those non-believers. I can't believe nobody spin it on their head and spin it on their back and this and that and all. This is all before the Breaking movie
Right.
came out.
Yeah.
So unless you was from that area, you had never seen that before. So I just went to the exhibition just to prove the situation wrong. I just thought it was, they was BSing about it.
Right.
So when I actually seen the people spinning on their head and this and that, and they had a DJ with them, who was Africa Islam, which is actually Ice T's DJ at the time, in the '80s he was.
Mhm.
Um, and also you couldn't see DJs scratching back then. Like I said, there was no videos to see. So the stuff that you're hearing on some of the records, you don't know how it's being done. So when I actually seen him, with one hand on the record, the other hand on the fader, doing what he was doing, I said, "Oh, so that's how it go." My
Mhm.
next military paycheck, I would have got me two turntables, two ratchet turntables to start practicing up in the barracks. So I got honed all my skills as I was hearing stuff from these underground hip hop records to hone my skills to become, the guy, Mr. Mixx. And then my next location when I got to California is where I met Fresh Kid Ice the Chinaman. I was working in the child line, and he was working in outpatient records in the hospital. He came through the child line and said, "Man, I hear you got turntables in your room." Because that was back in those days, it was, you would never think that somebody has that kind of setup in their barracks room. So
Right.
we hooked up, started listening to, underground hip hop in those days.
Mhm.
And we decided to make our own little record. We went to a recording studio and made a little record. And like I said, we was on the West Coast, and at that time there were some groups with Dr. Dre. There was called World Class Wrecking Crew,
Heard about
and a
that.
couple of other people, Bobby Jimmy, which is the radio personality Russ Parr, and a couple
Mm.
of other people that was making records in California. So we and the crazy thing about the California thing, they had all the information, the address, the phone number, everything was all on the little label. So we called down there and said, "Hey, we got a record. We want to see if we can bring it down there to you
You
guys."
remember the name of
And
the record?
the name of the record was a single called. One side was called The Revelation, and the other side was called Two Live, where a lot of people know that the Two Live side is Beatbox.
Got you.
We went down there, took the record down there. They took it from us, and they started distributing it around. Meanwhile, we're still at the military base, and this is way before cell phones and all of this. So they didn't have no way to contact us. But my mom, she lived in California, and I used my mom's address as the address for the record company. So invoices is getting sent there, sent there, sent there. No money in the invoices. But 5 months later, Luther Campbell, which everybody knows as Luke Skywalker slash Uncle Luke, he's a concert promoter at that time. He was bringing a whole bunch of underground hip hop acts to Miami, and he had reached out to some guys in California too, and he reached out to us and said, "Hey man, you guys' record is doing good. I got the record hot down here. I want to bring you guys out to do some shows." So we go down there and do the shows, but it was a total culture shock of what was going on in Miami. The stuff that you hear about, all of the folklore, the twerking and crazy stuff and all of that,
Mhm.
that's been going on in Miami. So
Mm.
me being raised in California, I hadn't seen any of the stuff that they was doing. It's obvious in those early days, the early '80s, young black men wasn't really traveling around. You didn't really know what was going on in this place or that place or the other. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So when we got back to California and we came back, we went down there Labor Day weekend, so it was popping. We went back down there New Year's, it was popping. So we feeling like, okay, well, this is the only place we ever got any kind of response for our records. Let's see if we can, keep this relationship up with this guy. And we ended up relocating to Miami.
Got you. I
So
know that you
I
was
know I took
from
the
California.
long way to make 1 yard, but
Yeah.
I had to give a little perspective to how the situation happened. So I was so green at the time. I knew how to do my scratching and making beats and all that, but I didn't have no clue about the business stuff. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Luke really didn't know all that much either because he was, like I say, he was doing, they had a DJ group called the Ghetto Style DJs and they were doing parties, but they had a big following.
Mm.
But he wasn't making no records at that time. Me and Fresh Kid Ice, we made a record for the Ghetto Style DJs, like a collaborative record, and that record was the Throw the D record. So, but I didn't want to give the record to the people in California because I didn't feel I was being treated right with them. So we got the record. We tried to get the record to some people in Miami. They wouldn't take the record. So Luke ended up paying money and got the record pressed up with and sent them out to the record pools at that time, and the record popped off in the market. We relocated to Miami and started building up all of the stuff that what made Two Live Crew the people the version that people know now. That's how that happened.
Dope. So listen, you be from California, you never like you never wanted to link up with like a Cube or Dre or
That was before Cube and Dre. Dre was part
Oh,
of
got you.
World Class Wrecking Crew when they made, Turn Off the Lights and all these other records. We were where we were stationed at in California was like 60 miles from Los Angeles. It's almost like, some Detroit cats hooking up with some Flint cats.
Got you.
And Detroit cats may not be looking at Flint in a particular way. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
these guys from Flint, we ain't studying these guys from Flint. Saginaw, we ain't messing with them. So that's what kind of situation it
Got
was.
you. Okay, so listen, one of your biggest records, the Me So Horny record.
Yes.
You guys nervous at the time to put that record out, given that, people wasn't making music like that. especially to that degree at that time? Did you guys?
Well, the funniest thing about it, my man, that was our third album. That was our third album release. We had two other albums before that that went gold. So, but that was the first one that really got particular radio play and became a platinum single.
Ah,
But the funny thing about it is just like I say, all of the underground clubs and wild and crazy spots that we was going to, we were probably like one of the few groups that was able to go into a town like say Detroit, for instance.
mhm.
We could do a show in the black neighborhood, and then we could go across town and do one in the white neighborhood too. So
Really?
we were just, our group was such a hybrid of a situation. A lot of the guys, we have so many different styles and types of fans. So the Me So Horny thing, um, it was, it's really funny how that whole thing came about of us even actually making that record.
Yeah, I heard
Um,
a little bit about it because it started off. It was a sample from a movie, right?
Right, right. But the thing is this though, right? Okay, we're in 2025 now, so you would think that that would be a no-brainer to be able to make the record. But
Right.
this is 1988, 1989. HBO is still new. Nobody's getting DVDs ain't even out yet. You just got VHS recorders
Uh-huh.
and things like that. So what I had to do in order to make the record, I had to wait for Full Metal Jacket to come back on HBO again, record the whole movie, and then take that VHS tape into the
That sounds like
studio.
a lot of work there. Got
Yeah, exact. That's what I'm saying. I mean, to put it in the perspective that it needs to be put in, nobody would ever have an understanding that that's you know how what it took in order for stuff to be done. Guys like me, the producers of the day, we were built for it. We had an understanding of it. But when you're talking about it to people, young people of the day, oh, ain't nothing. I can pull it up on YouTube and just
right.
get the sound in it.
Hmm.
There was no such thing as these things back in those days.
Wow, that's crazy. So listen, in the '80s, um, what was the biggest difference you would say with DJing and producing in the '80s to now, other than like the equipment and everything like that? What do you say would be the biggest difference?
The biggest difference now is that with YouTube and the internet, if you had an idea of a song, right? Let's say you wanted to use this song off of this Rick James album, and but you didn't physically have an album.
Mhm.
Guess what? You wasn't getting it done because if you couldn't find the record, it was just a rap.
Right.
Whereas with YouTube and all of that, now you can type you type the title in, and more than likely that song will pop up, and you could go do it, and you can exercise your idea. So producers was only as good as the records that they had in their record collection at the time.
So how were you able to get the records that you were able to get? Because you had a connection with Luke and he was getting them, or like you knew somebody at the
No,
radio?
no, no, no. Luke was, let's get this straight. Luke was a concert promoter, and he was no record guy in that way as guys see him
Ah,
now.
yeah.
And I was the guy that had to do all of the stuff. You had record stores, just like what's that record store on the east side, Chantanique?
Okay.
You had record stores like that that had, all kind of different stuff in there. But if the record was out of print or wasn't being sold anymore, that's what they call crate digging. You're
Mhm.
looking for records. You're hoping that you can find something that normally you wouldn't be able to find. So it was either that, or if your homeboy pops may have had a record, you go through his record collection or this or that. That's the way that producers back in the day had to do it. So a lot of guys would want to come to New York because there was a lot of record stores there, a lot of diverse things that you could probably find and get to be able to do your craft.
Nice. So, in your opinion, that in your opinion, what do you think made Two Live Crew different from other crews out at that time? Because other than the provocative music, obviously, but like, what do you feel like separated you guys as a whole?
Um, I would say the biggest thing is that at the time New York City was the thing. It was that's where all of the business was being handled. If a record was thumbs up or thumbs down, it was based off a New York thought process.
Mhm.
It wasn't based off of Miami or Houston or LA or Detroit or
Mhm.
any other, or Atlanta. Atlanta, you didn't even talk about Atlanta. Atlanta didn't even exist at that time. So um, it was the New York thought process. So the fact of us having, DJ crew set up, gigantic speakers to where we could go around and market and promote ourselves. We got in based on our own movement, not because New York them liked us. Most of the New York stuff they stole, they stiffed armed everything that came from wherever. The early Easy E stuff, stuff from California, they was dissident. They
Mhm.
didn't get it if it wasn't part of, the Run DMC, LL situation or some of the other groups that came up out of New York.
Mhm.
They just felt like it was substandard hip hop. They didn't give it a sporting chance for it to be something.
So it was like an approval thing from New York. Is that what that was? Y'all was trying to like bypass that? Or is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so in other words, we never got any at that time. We never got any shows past Washington D.C. All
Really?
of the northern stuff, we would never get any gigs because
That's
they wasn't stunting our music.
huh. That's crazy. I didn't know New York was hating like that, man. So what did y'all do? Like, how did y'all? Cause y'all end up with multiple big records, and y'all was trying.
Right, but this is the thing. Visualize this. Okay, you got the United States map, right?
Got you.
You go from Florida all the way over to Texas, right?
Mhm.
Then you make a right turn and go all the way up to Missouri. Then you go from Missouri, make another right turn and go all the way over to Virginia. And then go from Virginia all the way back down to Florida. That was our market, along with California and a few other little places. So we didn't really need New York because most of the country didn't have an understanding of a New York slang, New York thought process. They were more relatable to what we were doing than what was coming out of New York, and they ain't never seen New York, the slang, the people,
Right.
the boroughs, and none of that. We
Got
were
you.
more relatable.
Got you. All right, couple more questions, OG, and then I'm gonna let you get up out of here, man. Like I said, I don't want to hold you too
Hey
long.
man, don't get mad at me that I'm trying to just shackle you down with all of this
No,
information.
I just don't want to hold you. I know you're a busy man, so that's all that is. Listen, the parental adversary or the parental advisory label, right? When that came about,
Yes.
was it just Luke that got hit with that, or was the whole gang got hit with that lawsuit and everything like that? And what did
Well,
you?
we got hit with it based off of the fact that we didn't want to label the first album like I was telling you about. We didn't want to label it as a triple X album. We didn't want to label it like it was a comedy album.
Mm,
So we just put um 18 years old or older or something like that,
mhm.
as a list of this out. I don't even know if we even had a disclaimer on it at that time. What happened was a little kid in Alabama, 14 years old, had his mom buy the album. The mom found out what was on the album and
Wow.
reported the situation. And then Tipper Gore, which was Al Gore's vice president's wife,
Mhm.
was with this coalition. It wasn't just us. It was some rock and roll records and all that stuff. So they put up a coalition saying that you had to have this type of sticker to go on your records that has that type of material on it, questionable material. So that was a first in the game. They would always get rock and roll guys would always get hit with different little things, but it
Mhm.
was never nothing cemented until our situation happened.
Mm, mm, mm.
So the parental advisory sticker, Luke always tried to say that he designed the parental advisory sticker and all of that, but we don't have no claims to it. And you never really know these things. I was doing the studio stuff, he was doing the office stuff, and that might very well be true. But it definitely started from our first album, for sure.
Nice. You talk about you did a lot of the studio stuff. How do you think your production shaped the music that you hear now, especially in Miami and in the South, man?
Um, yeah, I would say that I'm King Tut. I was the first. I was the first one. I'm the first one to have a gold album in the marketplace. Not Manny Fresh, not the guys in Texas, Rap a Lot. All of these guys were great with. I'm cool with them. I love them. Matter of fact, I knew Manny back in '86 when he was doing other little promotions and different things, but he never got out and out legitimate shot until the Cash Money situation happened.
Gotcha.
So cats have been doing stuff all along, and we've always been fighting the good fight to be accepted into the circle of hip hop. But it was just so New York controlled. It was so controlled to where, even though our records are selling great, and they would actually, Run DMC them when they had their different tours, they would have us come on some of their shows in the South for tour support because we had that much action going on in the South. They would bring us on a couple of shows, but they would never put us on the whole damn tour.
Mhm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it all could, for easy listening, check out this one record that we got a record called INBS, and Lucas talking about all of the different behind the scenes politics of how things are going on in New York about us not being able to get on shows. They was like deliberately not allowing us to get shine because our style was kind of contradictory to what they were doing, and they didn't want to really catch on as big as it ended up happening anyway. They just didn't want to, put us in the mix with them.
You've been at this for what, 20 plus years now?
You could double that, brother.
Oh my God.
Since 85, brother. Since 85. And I'm,
85. So who you like listening to right now? Or, what's your opinion on the rap game right now? Because it's completely different than when you started, man.
yeah, let me just say it like this. We come from the so-called golden age of hip hop. And back in those days, you had to spend money to make records. You don't have to spend money to actually create the original recording now. You got so many people, you got so many bedroom DJs and bedroom producers and bedroom rappers.
How you feel about that?
Well, it's cool. It's almost like, look at it like if you're a kid, right, and you got something to be able to, you got your little Fisher Price thing that you messing with, and you're able to make a recording.
Mm-hmm.
How can I be mad at you for doing the creation that you create? You're
Right.
not in the world competing. You're just doing what it is you're doing in your house. But what is happening now with the internet, a person can do a talent show in junior high school and be viewed as like that's a great performance, like all the other performances is in the world. So
Yeah.
it's almost got it's the I would say what the young people are doing right now is like a subgenre of the main genre. You know what I mean?
That's
But
different.
it's so many people that pay attention to it that it seems like this is the thing, this is the way that the stuff is going. But all of the stuff that whether it's Metro Boomin or this one or that one, whatever producer you want to name, it's all of my Manny Fresh, Mantronics, your man from up there, Juan Atkins, a bunch of other people from back in the day. It's all our sound packs. They just didn't have back in those days. You had to have the real machine in order to do the stuff. Now for $200-300, you can get all those machines, all those keyboards in a little thing for $300. So they got everything at their fingertips. They never have to, hustle up these machines and learn them and this and that or whatever. So it's almost like, it's like a magic. If we had those types of situations, it would be, it would be hell on earth to be able to stop anybody. But that's
Right.
the thing now. The young people, that's what happens with technology and things that, they benefit from it, but
Right.
they don't really learn no real hard situations. Most of these guys don't know how to perform. They don't really know what they would do in front of a crowd. All of these different things, the skill sets that we have, a lot of my dudes is in their 50s, close to 60s, but they're still extremely active. It's just the thought process of how young people are interpreting how to make the records with the equipment that they got, with with these programs. They're using their own imagination, but our imagination came from all of the different stuff that's going on in the world. Their imagination is coming from what's going on in their
It's already
bedroom
been
at the
created.
time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Last thing, man. You still out here, you still doing music, even though, I mean, you got it, man. You really don't have to. What keeps you doing the music, man? And talk about your new records and music that you got going out. Let the people know, what I'm saying? What
Yeah, well, I got a new company called Mixx Dynasty. What I'm doing is what I'm trying to do, like what we're talking about with the young people. I'm trying to bring the 18s and 20-year-olds and some of the young people that's still at school and give them a true understanding of how to really make records. Have like a mentorship situation. Take the stuff that it is that they are doing and polish it. You know
Mm,
what I mean? Right now, they're going out there with scuffy Adidas. They're going out there with scuffy shoes, but they don't understand that they're scuffy. You
right.
know what I'm saying? Because they've never had anybody tell them that they're scuffy. But there's some of the things like the auto tune things and the different situations, the way that they express themselves on the mic and all of that. All of that's all well and good and cool, but most of it's out of shyness, not really knowing how to project your voice.
Mm,
Be clear.
right.
They want to sound like they high. The melodies is cool, but I don't know what
Some
you're
of them.
saying and this and that. So it's
Right.
just a polished thing. It's not a downing thing. You can't do better till you know better.
Right.
And most of them don't really want to act like they don't know better. They feel like, guys like me, we're in the way, we're hating, we're slowing your situation down and this and that. But it don't be that. What it really is that, like in football, you pass the torch. Everybody can't play football forever. One thing about music, you can do it forever. So until you get in the casket. So the torch is not going to be easily passed. And when they do pass it, you want to pass it to somebody that has, that's carrying the tradition of what it is that's going on. There's going to be more subgenres, true enough, but don't make it seem like the genre that you made up is the flat out new genre. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not that. Most of
Right.
these young guys aren't even musicians. They know how to work the beat machines like they're playing a video game. So it's a different type of cats that's doing the thing. So what I'm doing, like I said, I got a new company called Mixx Dynasty, looking at going after the high schools, the colleges, to garner up talent. I still do records. I still run across people that I'm, featuring on new records and things like that. My thing is called Mixx Dynasty. My I go off of my IG, which is Mixx_2_live_crew. Then I got a TikTok page where it's DJ Mr. Mixx 2 Live Crew. People can catch me at those handles, and I'm all for it, man. I did a Christmas record just recently, and I got a new record coming out with this young lady named Rari Red out of Ohio. Got a lot of things going, but I need guys like you and other people to be able to have interviews like this.
Well, look, I didn't know you was in Ohio, so you know what I'm saying. You ain't nothing but down the street. So
Right, exactly.
yeah, come pull up, and then we can sit down and chop it up for real, man. So I appreciate you for taking this time to sit down and chop it up with me. You definitely put me hip to a lot of stuff because, like I said, I'm younger than you, so I knew who you were, but it was like I didn't know your history, and now you just
Yeah,
put.
yeah, no, of course, and that's the biggest thing, my man. A lot of the young people, they don't know enough of people that come from our era history. They really don't. They look at it like we're competitors more so than people that will
Right.
congratulate your efforts. Yeah, but they don't see it that way. They feel like we hating. That's
No,
the
and it
big
ain't
word.
never that y'all hating. It's just y'all, like you said, bro, you was an originator. So it's like the stuff that people are hearing today is a lot of it's coming from people like you.
Right, right. It's regurgitated stuff. If we were able to do if we're able to make the money that these young guys are making based off of the stuff that we was doing, the same drum patterns and all the stuff that they're doing now, the stuff that was being done in the '80s, but it was being suppressed. We weren't allowed to have our, creativity go all the way through the roof. It was, it's kind of, you had guys that was managers and different things that just felt, don't worry about trying to be extra. Just do this.
Mhm.
Don't be overly special with how you making this drum machine say, do this.
Mhm.
So they have a better scope of being able to do things than what we were kind of handcuffed and shackled a little bit in the earlier days too. So
Wow.
that's why we dig it. We keep doing it because we feel like we just barely scratched the surface on what we were able to do back in the day. We love the fact that we have full reign of being able to control our destinies and all that. And that's what keeps guys like myself wanting to keep doing this stuff.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for all the knowledge you just been spitting this whole interview, man. Thank you. And like I said, man, you in Ohio, so you ain't, you know what I'm saying, pull up. and come
Yeah, yeah, that's nothing. That ain't nothing to pull up. I was just up there a couple of weeks ago. So, shout out to Akeisha
Yeah.
making this happen and all that. I'm very appreciative, and I will be pulling up for
Thank
sure.
you, man. Appreciate you.
Yep, yep.